word problems involving the multiplication of a whole number and a fraction, including those involving line plots. So there's a lot going on, but essentially we're solving word problems that happen to have fractions, to put it simply. And these word problems also include looking at data represented in a line plot. So to refresh our memory, a line plot is a diagram showing frequency of data on a number line. For example, in this case, showing the number of pets that someone has or that a class has, and it shows, oh, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people or students have one pet. Only one person has 5 pets, and so on. So how we're going to do this is I want to focus on the terms used in the questions to help us, because not every question is an addition or subtraction requires an addition or subtraction equation. You have to determine what operation is going to be used in the problem. So I'm going to start off here. As you can see, I have my data and I have it represented on the line plot. I know this looks like a lot, but I wanted to show you the value. This particular number line is split into eighths, but eighths can also be represented as fourths, and halfway through is obviously half. And I did that because, as you can see in the data that's here, it's not only represented in eighths, it's also represented in fourths. So I wanted you to be aware of each of these values. I want to, can I do dual screen? I'm gonna have to exit. Sorry, I want to do dual screen. Okay, so I have my word problem here, or the question. What is the difference in rainfall from the wettest and driest months? So I annotated previously, and I annotated difference, rainfall, wettest and driest months, because it's asking me the difference, and I know, this is one of the math terms I need to know in this case, and I know that difference means subtraction, so I know I'm going to subtract, and what I'm subtracting is the amount of rainfall between the wettest and driest. So wettest meaning most rainfall, driest meaning least rainfall. So that's why this line plot is helpful, because I don't have to look for the smallest and largest number going through all these numbers. I can see here that 4 2/8 is the greatest amount of rainfall, 4 2/8 inches, and 1 3/8 is the least amount of rainfall. So that is what I'm going to be subtracting. So let me go ahead and write this equation. 4 2/8 minus 1 3/8. So I notice I can't take away 3/8 from 4/8, so I'm going to have to decompose over here. So I make the 4 into 3 plus 1, but I'm going to represent this one whole as eighths. So a whole, I need 8/8 to make a whole. So I have 8/8, and then I also have the 2/8 that was originally there. So I have 3 plus 8/8 plus 2/8. So let me combine this. This equals 3 8/8 plus 2/8 is 10/8. So I have 3 10/8 now, minus my 1 3/8. So I now have enough eighths to subtract the 3/8, because 10/8 is greater than 3/8. So I'm ready to subtract. 3 wholes minus 1 whole is 2 wholes. 10/8 minus 3/8 is 7/8. So the difference in rainfall from the wettest and driest months is 2 7/8. I always want to include my unit, inches. So I just want to highlight, I looked at the keywords or the math terms. I want to say math terms, not keywords, because sometimes people think like keywords, like, oh, total always means addition, things like that. That's not what I'm saying. But there are math terms that I do know the meaning of, like difference tells me I am subtracting. So let's look at this next question. Each inch of rain can produce 10 times that many inches of snow. If all the rainfall was in the form of snow, how many inches of snow fell in January? Let me exit again because I want to move this. Here, so that way we can see. Okay. There we go. Okay. And full screen. So we have our data again. So I'm like each inch, so I know this is more than, so repeatedly, so the first inch, the second inch, the third inch, or 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, produces 10 times that many inches of snow. So for the amount of rainfall that we have in January, it's 10 times as much. And they want to know how much inches of snow were to fall in January if this was actually snow and not rain. So what equation would I write to solve this problem? Knowing that it says each of the January inches in rain would be 10 times as much if it were snow. So please write down your equation if you haven't already. And I hope you wrote 2 2/8 times 10. Because it says 10 times. So this is the math term we're using, 10 times. I know it's literally times 10. So 2 2/8, that's January's rainfall, times 10. So go ahead and solve now. Please pause this video now, solve this, and then press play when you're ready to check your work. Again, pause now, press play when you're ready to check your work. All right, so I have 2 2/8, sorry, times 10. I'm gonna first do 10 times 2 and then 10 times 2/8 and then combine that. So 10 times 2 would give me 20, and 10 times 2/8 would give me 28. So I have 20 and 28. 28 is improper. I want to fix this or regroup it so that I can make it a mixed number. So 8 goes into 20 if I want to count by 8/8, right? Because 8/8 is a whole. So I have one whole now. If I add another 8/8, I have 2 wholes, and that'll give me 16/8. If I add another 8/8, I'm going to be at 24/8. That's too much. I just want to stop at 20. So from 16 to 20, that's 4 more. So I see here I have 2 wholes and 4/8. And I still have my 20. So if I add this together, my final answer would be 22 and 4/8. And again, I always want to label or write the unit. So it's 22 and 4/8 inches of snow would have fallen in January. So I can even add of snow. So let's look at our last problem that you're going to do on your own now. And I annotated it for you. What is the combined rainfall amount for the summer months of June, July, and August? So I want to know the total amount of rainfall that falls in June, July, and August. So think of your operation and go ahead and write down your equation. What is the combined rainfall? I want all 3 months combined. And once you have your equation, go ahead and solve and press play now. Sorry, press pause now, and then press play when you're ready to check your work. So again, you're pausing now to be able to solve independently, and then press play when you're ready to check. Right, if you're watching now, you are going over your work. So your equation should have been adding the months of June, July, and August. And June, July, and August have 2 1/4 plus 3 7/8 plus 3 1/4. So you could choose to add all this up together, add 2 separately, but before you could do any of that, you need a common denominator. So I hope you remember that. So to find a common denominator, you would normally do what is called the least common multiple, right? You list the multiples of 8 and 4. But in this case, you didn't have to do that, but I'll go ahead and do that just so you can see that this strategy does in fact work. So when I do this, I know that my common multiple or my common denominator is going to be 8. But the reason I also put these fractions so that you can see the equivalent fractions. So I see that 1/4 is equal to 2/8. They're the same. They're exactly the same. They're on the same spot on the number line. So I'm going to use that here to help me solve. Well, so I know that 2 1/4 is basically the same as 2 2/8. Well, not basically, it literally is. So now I can make all of these fractions into 8s. And now I'm free to add. So I'm going to start with the whole numbers. 2 plus 3 plus 3. Well, 3 plus 3 is 6, and 6 plus 2 is 8. And 2 eighths plus 7 eighths plus 2 eighths. Well, 2 eighths plus 2 eighths is 4. And 4 eighths plus 7 eighths is 11 eighths. Oops, I didn't mean to write equal, I meant to write plus. Actually, I don't think I meant to write plus either. I'm not sure why I put this here. Okay, so I have 8. Let me actually write this closer. So I have 8 and 11 eighths. But this is improper, so I want to fix that. Well, 8 eighths makes one whole. And then to get to 11, I need 9, 10, 11, 3 more eighths. So that gives me 8 plus 1 whole plus 3 eighths. So 8 plus 1 is 9, and then I keep my remaining fraction. So I have 9 and 3 eighths. So the combined total rainfall is 9 and 3/8 inches for all 3 months. As always, please let me know if you have any questions or if you need me to show you on meat because you weren't really understanding the video. And let me know if you need any help or have any questions. Bye, everyone.